Good evening. This is Ean Garrett, and I am the Chief Innovation Officer of Infinite 8 Institute. This is week 6 of the Lean business model process. Once again, our team members are Alita Karchner, Walter Battle, and Sharon Hansen. Our number of interviews for the week are 10, with a total of 60 interviews. And so we're right on course and where we want to be able to obtain those 100 interviews. And our mission is to design and finance social impact systems. So a few noteworthy interviews that we had involved the Community Reinvestment Act as well as alternative financing in the UK market. We were able to talk to the corporate sector as far as banking is concerned, and we essentially were able to confirm that the Community Reinvestment Act is a feasible option. It does have some legitimacy as far as gaining upfront investment that is necessary in order to fund programming, in order to achieve outcomes. And so the Community Reinvestment Act is something that we will continue to keep our eye on, and that we will put in our back pockets as a possible tool in order to be able to accrue upfront capital. We also spoke to an equity crowdfunding platform in the UK, and we found out a lot of interesting information regarding equity crowdfunding. For one, they are extremely more progressive as far as equity crowdfunding is concerned. They're already raising millions of dollars in that equity crowdfunding space. Also, they have a tax incentive there in the UK where early stage investors are able to recoup through tax incentives anywhere from 30 to 70% of their initial investment. And so as we see here in the model, looking at the financial market in 2013, at that point in time, the equity-based crowdfunding was making up 5% of the total alternative financial market as well. And so we see lots of growth since then. So I'm sure that it's over 5%. I would love for anybody to be able to find that information and shoot that to me if they have anything more recent than that. And so let's go to business model canvas. So at this stage, looking at 60 interviews, we still don't feel like we have enough interviews in order to really look at and decide on our customer segment. Over the next week, we will narrow it down and essentially chop off a lot of customer segments, but we want to do more interviews in this particular space before we decide. There are a number of things that we have come to a conclusion that customers want, and essentially that deals with consulting and program development. They want people to come in and talk to the state legislatures regarding social impact financing. They want people who have the technical expertise to be able to explain what these type of social impact investments are. They want individuals who have the ability to design programming that are specific for the needs of the community. They also want outcomes. They want outcomes, and we'll talk about that later as well. Outside of that, let's move on. So what do we learn from our business model canvas? We learned that we hypothesized that corporate social responsibility is an opportunity. We experimented by conducting interviews, and out of all of the interviews that we conducted, there were 0 validations as far as corporations who essentially are willing to participate in these social impact bonds. You'll have banks like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan that essentially have jumped in the game to be able to take advantage of some of these opportunities, and it makes more sense because it is a type of financial instrument, although not a typical financial instrument like a traditional bond. And so as a result, you have corporations that are essentially standing on the sidelines and on the perimeter, that are watching the field as it grows and it progresses, and that is essentially fine with us. We like it that way. We think that it will offer more opportunity for us in the long term as we proceed. Also, the action that we will take forward is we will allow them to stay on the sideline once these deals are actually implemented and more of them are actually being created. We are confident that because of the financial incentives, as far as the amount of interest that corporations can accrue on these deals, especially with the number of capital that they're sitting on that is in the current market and that is underperforming and that is stagnant, they will see that there are plenty of opportunities in this social impact financing market, and I am predicting that within the next 5 years you'll see a lot of these corporations starting to dip their toe into the game. What else did we learn? We hypothesized that customers want performance-based outcomes. We experimented by interviewing investors and service providers who are actually providing services on the ground, such as educational services, health and human services, etc. And the results were that out of 60 different interviews, we had 22 different validations that essentially stated that customers and funders want specifically performance-based outcomes, and so our action will be to pivot these deals on the performance as well as the outcomes. So what do we learn about Bitcoin? We hypothesized that customers want to use Bitcoin in order to save finances concerning remittance fees and to also ensure that more of their dollar with low remittance fees is actually going towards creating impact. And so we experimented and we conducted a number of interviews and surveys, and what we found was that people essentially are afraid to utilize Bitcoin. They do not trust Bitcoin. They do not understand it as well. In addition to that, there's also no infrastructure on the ground, and I believe if anything, the Greek financial crisis taught us that there is no infrastructure on the ground. There aren't anywhere near enough ATMs. There just aren't enough people actually using the technology. And so as a result, our action going forward is to drop Bitcoin as a part of our minimal viable product. Next week, we will focus on national philanthropic organizations, global philanthropic organizations, as well as small and family-owned banking institutions, and we also hope to speak with the FDIC. Once again, my name is Ean Garrett, and I can be reached at Ean, that is EAN, at Infinite, INFINITE, 8, the number 8, institute.com. If you or any other person that you know would like to be interviewed, please contact us at the following email, and we look forward to speaking with you guys next week.